Welcome, everybody. I am Deirdre Square, and this is the Clarity Channel. I have been really, I can't say busy, but I've really been devoting my time into doing, the work that I love to do and, completing projects. And, I can say that I was almost borderline burnt out. And I had to make a decision of what I was going to do about it, and I'm not the type of person that can just get in the bed and sleep for a day. I had to literally get away from home, get away from, just my regular normal lifestyle. And with that, healing and harmonizing was on. And I decided to do it with my companion, and thank God, I give thanks for my family that helped me do. They suggested a few things, and you know I just appreciate it. I feel wonderful. I feel renewed, revitalized, revamped. I even had to look at the fact that I have not really been on here. And of course, I've been really busy, and I had planned a few things that, when you plan things, they don't always go your way. And I had to put so much time and energy. Once you start something, you want to finish it. And when you're doing it, you want to do things well regardless. So, here I am. I was able to do a getaway, and, with Grace, doing a last minute getaway, you just literally, in prayer, you think to yourself, do not divine, thank God, divine spirit, do not allow me to miss a trick, because there's a lot of things that go on, the way people drive, people attitudes and personalities, people travel and they are entitled, or, sometimes people don't even, when you're giving your money and you're paying for something, sometimes you have to do quality, you have to do quality control and make sure you're getting the proper room, the proper Airbnb, and definitely had to go through some changes and literally make sure the room was good, and it was all good. I got some discounts and switched me to a better room. Moving forward, I'm back home again, and I had to do some dusting. And of course, doing that, I ran across an old photo album. It was just in a corner, back hid, and I opened it up, and I was looking at some of my childhood pictures. And the old photos, I was looking at some of my facial expressions and the way I was posing, and I was thinking, thinking about what was I thinking at that time, and some I don't remember, but the circles that I was in and who I was standing with in those pictures, and just observing everybody's look. And I think about then and how I've changed, and you grow up, you grow inward, and hairstyles. I was like, dang, where was I? I was wearing that hairstyle, and what was I thinking? I remember where I got it from, and might have taken it off, a celebrity or something that I saw on TV, and I wanted to wear that hairstyle. I didn't want to be like anyone, because those people are not real, But anyway, the experience of the looks on some of my faces, I just I felt like I was like, oh, what was I thinking? But for the most of it, you just look at everything, and some of those, people that are gone, they're not on this earth. I just think about, I was like, wow, you never think about, we're here today and we're gone tomorrow, gone from this earth. Or just, living in different parts of the country, out of the country, or they don't live here, they don't live there anymore, they moved away, I relocated. I'm good with not being nothing attached to what I didn't see then, the work on being myself, that's what it is. It takes, to be conscious of knowing yourself and being yourself. And, even when we're in school and we have teachers and masters professionally, and worst of all, still, TV, and you see certain things, the celebrityisms and stars. My point of view is different. My emotions have to stay clear, and, I have to always put a new me on, and that's great when you can put a new you on yourself, when you need to be revitalized. Literally, I felt a little borderline burnt out, and I had to really just figure out what I was going to do. At first, I was going to travel, to the other state or the other city, and I had to figure that out. And I'm so grateful that I was able to, create something to really enjoy myself. As we grow in life, our relatives, we give thanks, and we're truly grateful. I can be creative, and not hesitate to look at myself, do some introspection, and just be like, I don't feel like myself. Not that I'm not healthy, but when you're borderline burnt out, where does that come from? Come from, not getting enough sleep. That comes from stress. That comes from working, hard, and not, no excuses to completing something. And the work that has to be done, you give your essence and the hard work, because you want something that you're changing or working on to come out, and the expectations with the experience that you have to be effectively done. And I can say, being somewhat of a perfectionist, you look at things and you look at what can be, improved, and it's about, you see the things that are unacceptable, that's not working, what's broken, that can be fixed, and you do what you got to do in certain projects, how you can build, how you can complete whatever research that you're doing, and also, target the things that are gonna give the effect that you want. I look and reflect when someone was taking, when you deposit energy into your hard work, you can be rewarded, because at the end of the completion of that, you can look at it and say, job well done, on certain things. I'm pretty sure doctors, when they can look at their patients, and they can help them be healthier in life, they can look at them and see what they put into that work to assist their patients, and say, well done, they're doing better. Being burnt out also, it can reflect when someone, the relationships that we have, giving and receiving, reciprocation, and things like that, but taking withdrawals, I was thinking about, not the past, but, I can look back and, constantly giving in a different profession that I was in, and I was constantly giving and giving and giving, and, the taking withdrawals that was coming from me, more than, people were depositing, that was like over 30 years ago. But changing isn't about just changing because you were a busy person, hardworking person. Not, some people changing because they was a bad person, the way they thought, or doing something connected to negativity or false knowledge, conditioning, like that expression, being that, like, when you think, you could think small, you could think big, the possible effects that can, affect a person's behavior, that's every day. You can eat the wrong food and it can affect you a certain way and your whole behavior change. And, I actually had a taste for some tacos, and I went to this taco place. But first, before I got the tacos, I got the reviews and I saw wonderful reviews and I wanted something spicy. And I literally was eating this taco. It was so good. It was so spicy, but my stomach said, no, 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 sis, we ain't doing it. And, immediately I had to go and get something for my tummy, some ginger ale, because I had one little thing of ginger tea and that wasn't working. I had to douse my stomach in ginger ale. And, I had to choose an effective way of doing that. And I was like, my Lanta, what I'm going to do? I feel horrible, and, the praise that you give yourself to be good to yourself is just to do something, to not repeat the same things. And never again will I eat somebody else's tacos. I'm pretty done with that. I can make my own. I can do without that spicy stuff that was on those tacos. It tastes good, but it was not good for my body. So anyway, that taught me a lesson, and it is what it is. Healing and repairing, unlearning and learning, it's just something that without being targeted, it could corrupt your health. It could corrupt your mind. In other words, having a healthy or unhealthy behavior, it just depends. We have critics that won't magnetize inspiring our energy. We have relatives, friends that don't inspire our energy, and they will only treat you. It's just people out there that will only treat you like death influences, dangerous, ignorance. I don't want to ever be ignorantly vulnerable to any depletion because, with that, it's like disease of man is a formula that burdens us. It burdens us beneath our skin and affect us physically, and possibly, friend or family. People get their moods and, their personalities, but their moods can, become complex and affect our relationship, and, let's talk clarity, in life, dealing with those who can peel the mask off and allow teachable moments and healing sessions to happen. The proof of evidence will be right in your life, comparing your old sight with new sight. And I have definitely every chance. I'm working on something. I'm working on myself. I can have a new sight. And some of the events that has been going on these last couple of months, it has definitely given me new sight on things, learn and unlearn certain habits, or just the way the mind will, send you a message. And it's not a part of me and my actual soul, choosing effective ways, by praising others with good spoken word, my soul brothers and sisters who are brave enough to be authentic and kind in the presence, that when you call them up, they're there, their own self, as in their womanhood, their manhood, wives, husband, my cousin, clans, however it may be, the non-interference in the process of a universal law in life, it's not a dream. You just don't dream up certain things to be without, people. We see it all day on TV, the fake pretending, social medias, trifling, lacking. It's okay to decide, in my opinion, to go in a different direction. It's everyone's right. A grade of top grade, peaceful grade direction, loving grade without being overly influenced by someone's color, people and their auras, not even, if they are poor, deemed as richness, wealthy, because they may be missing respect. A person can be wealthy, rich, bougie, all that, but missing respect and be a liar. Of course we know this, but not speculating, but we see it all the time, the scapegoating. The as my mother would say, hypocrites, parasites, the energy form that can have a less healthy influence on our lives. We must always know our worth and values of being balanced. And this is what I'm speaking on today. Let's talk clarity, because I was planning on going for maybe about a week and a half, to visit my family, and the timing was not good. And as much as I wanted to go and see my family, I checked different parts of this country and was checking with my family, and some it would be okay, and then the timing would be off. Everything was not coming together, but I had to make a decision. And when it come down to balancing my equilibrium, I could go to a park, I could go anywhere. You go in your backyard, you can go in your shower, you can take a bath to ground yourself. But I wanted, and I know myself, I needed much more than that. Being a human being is not a disease, but it seems like people are basically a part of, their vices. And the word alone is, as far as human being is concerned, it's our light frequency, and the physical and highly advanced, but not required by the material devices. But every day we're using our phones, we're in them, we're attached to them, because we need our phones, we need our cars, we need our transportation, what we need to do as far as our computers are concerned, all the material devices, our homes, everything. There is no competition when you're given the transcendental part of a system that shows you how to carry yourself, how to heighten our own energy beyond the mass of pretending by a visual imagination. And when I'm saying that, the visual imagination of these algorithms, the things that they create to get our attention, the instrumentally within our own thoughts, that rhythm itself, our heart feeling, our hearts itself, that's more than enough, in my opinion. A direction and believing in each other, and you believing in your own self, the positive activity, like faith and focus. It's okay, but not until all the time that we're just attached to our phones, videos, everything just overly, grasping to get more input, more knowledge. It comes a thing to when, it's just okay to relax, not to be in tow, of all that stuff all the time. I sincerely like to do rituals that's nowhere near attached to time. And when I say ritual, I might do a ritual and don't want to look at my clock, my phone with the time on it. I have to turn into a timeless agent, trying to control, what time I got to do this, or what time someone needs me to do that, and others controlling me all the time. It's not your own self. It ruins the authenticity. And sometimes it can become dehumanizing. And of course, that dysfunctional cord, it can cause you to be very dysfunctional. I remember when I was younger, what was the word? Accident prone, and I would fumble, with something accident prone, and my father would speak on it. And I could do I didn't know the word introspection at the time, but I would look at myself and coach myself to try to relax and not be accident prone. And thank God for the relationship that I had with my elders. They were showing me, and it wasn't just showing me by telling me, they were hands on, showing me how to relax, how to, focus and ground myself and breathe, that grounding energy that we must manifest. Here we are, and this light that I am transmitting now, I want to spiral up with you and inspire you, not to spiral down. And when this channel, this Let's Talk Clarity is being listened to, this is not for someone to spiral down and get stuck and criticize themselves, or criticize, you could criticize me all you want to. Go ahead and try. But try understanding certain people, places, or things, social media. We are radioactive waves of human energy. Isn't it beautiful? I meant love and life of our our energy, is just something that, the waves of being a human being and breathing, we retain ourselves in order to be organized, and what came before all of us, our descendants, and why they were so strong, and even for that, not everybody was strong, it was some weak ones and naive and ignorant descendants, and judgmental, descendants, from a twisted sense of self-enslavement, because it's not taught in school. We talked about, things like Harriet Tubman and what's this fella name? Columbus, all these different historical, points, that was taught in school. I'm talking about the things that was not taught in school. It came from the authentic conversations that was therapeutic for us to sit and listen to while they were being recalled to us in meaning. I mean, our moms, our dads, our aunts, our grandparents, mothers of all mothers, fathers of all fathers, even if he couldn't keep his woman, even if she couldn't keep her man, she loved her man. Her ether was a mystery. I could remember, looking at my mother and dad, and her ether was a mystery to my dad. It was a mystery to me, and, she created us, and the how, and it was just something that was just mysterious. But yeah, even being taught, about sexual behavior, sexuality, it was something that was still mysterious, and how my mom seated me, the level of having good connection, in truth, family and then friendships, the different things that you hear from family and the different and the things that you hear from friendships. It becomes a little scattered, but potentially, everything is not one or two dimensional. We have teachings that show us about, people, criminology, life itself, thieves, peasants, and our awareness that we live in a country where we are exposed to everyone all over the world, or limited in the world, that are oppressed by default, period. The following, people follow to come to get to some sort of freedom, financial freedom, physical freedom. They sign up for these leadership roles, to take the lead, to transmit their light by being controlled by who they follow, and who gives them direction to tell them to do this or do that, or this is how I came to go on a getaway. It was suggested. I wanted to do it, and I kept saying I was going to do it. But when someone when someone point, and you get this strong feeling within yourself, this is something that you're already transmitting to do. But what I'm saying is the attention, you follow up and you follow through. And sometime with being your own friend, being your own leadership, you transmit your light out and you do what you do, and you control yourself by following and giving the energy like a sublingual to actually in your own will to be better, to be great, to experience, satisfaction, the effect or the remedy in our interpersonal consciousness. It's just that, when we do it, we become, a role of volunteering, of just doing, the attention and the work and the play, to do this. Sometimes you want to move away from discomfort, to avoid unhealthiness, when you know what being healthy is. Everybody has experienced, pain. People, we want to be stronger, and as a woman, my thing is, how much masculine energy do we want to become? How much masculine energy do I want to become? How strong? And I'm looking around, I'm very aware of my existence. You being aware of your existence, I'm aware, certain things as far as condition, being in pain chronically, ways in my retention of going too far, into being so strong, too strong, to a point of wrongness and forgetting my own self. Sometimes me taking the lead or following someone that has no clue on what this being, who I am behind my eyes, turning myself inward. A person doesn't know your own pain. You know your own pain. So you have to do certain things in reaching in and have confidence in order to be your own leader on how to live your life. As children, we experience, things when we were children, when we were getting out into the schoolyards, and we watch bullies bully other children, or we might have experienced that, and you had to stand up. I had to stand up to my bullies and say, absolutely not today, and I had to become strong. I had to get that masculine energy, because my little, strawberry and cream and, prettiness and flowers was not going to get that bully off of me. I had to be the leader and teach one. Thank goodness. but as we teach our children, our godchildren, as in leaders, we, know that sometimes they resist, by awareness, but be less resistance is my message to your own self. When you know that your heart is saying one thing, but your mind is saying something that's not close to what a parent is saying to you. We have to reparent ourselves, even as adult, and the gentleness, is relevant, to be drawn to make them to be drawn towards, what we want to say to our children, to be effective to them, on what is out there. It's more so within the process of their mind, their body, and their spirit. Just keep it simple, because we live in a world now, they make things so complex and competitive. It's no time to even, people aren't listening to their own mind. And when it does something, it's just off the Richter scale, and no one's looking at the simple, remedy, the simple solution. So, when we want to inspire our loved ones, our young people, we want to sometimes make it simple so they won't fail. Their innocent curiosity, beyond the five senses, their great senses, and Lord knows that common sense. But being ready to tell, something to possibly the behavior of a poor friend, with no, telling them no, or even telling themselves no. How do we be an example to that? Because, when we're drawn on energy that is not required, and we do something to where we're not even listening to ourselves, it's hard to listen to someone else. Or you might be in an ego to where you don't listen to someone, and the person that's caring about you, or you as a parent caring about someone else so hard, and you're talking so much, a person can lose their own voice, and listen, not to hesitate to be open to have like a parental side of you, or parent to a child conversation about the encounters. For example, to a child, I can relate to my own experience. I was, I had a shyness about myself, and the way I would express things was literally less talk, more action. I'll show you better than I can tell you, and if you miss it, oh well. Shyness or overexpression, people that talk loud and can just really be boisterous, it's all the shyness or the overexpression. It's all really behind of the lack of attention that is calling for a certain type of relief. And I'm getting dry mouth as I do. Excuse me. So, that is some neem tea, and it really makes ooh-wee. Yeah. So, what was I saying? Lack of attention, calling the relief, by getting the attention that you need, or being so shy that, you don't want the wrong type of attention, but you want the attention of where you're used to getting it. The attention is calling for a certain amount of pain relief, or a need of help. heart to heart, I can say that when you're able to be taught the spirit of life, that divine spirit asking, our truth and the areas of sacred godness to help us, to help, for me, I was young learning how to pray because my family, my ancestors, my grandparents, they prayed out loud. It wasn't like in the book of, you get on your knees and you put your hands together and you close your eyes and then that's it. We were inspired to pray out loud, whisper at the least, and that was good, whispering our prayers. And, that heart to heart divine spirit asking for truth, to help, that sacred energy. You don't want to miss a way to better peace of mind. So in many ways, especially the mental impulses, like, when you're in school, you don't write off the Richter scale, let me say this prayer right now, Lord. You have to lay that down and learn how to play your voice as an instrument, and also do proactiveness. Yes, as a child, I can recall doing that. And I also recall learning. I could not really enjoy singing until my parents put me in singing lessons, because going to church where my older brothers and sisters went, they went to choir rehearsal and they would practice and they would be singing so loud, it would cause me, I didn't like it. I would see the young lady singing and she hooping and hollering, I would be totally mentally like, repulsed, like, what's going on? And I didn't want to sing. But even when I took voice lessons, I learned about myself. The shyness started to go away, and I also learned so much more than the hooping and hollering. I learned my voice as an instrument, and I started really having a different take on my own impulse, and learning how to use my voice as an instrument, to sing, along with the guidance, and to do it well. And yes, as we know, the voice of singing is an instrument. The spiritual side of things, being spiritual is not a popularity contest. And that was my take. I didn't say anything then, but that's what it seemed like, when I would witness and watch, certain people sing. It was like they were trying to win a popularity contest. So, some people that have a method of vocal healing, they perform a specific action and can direct energy. Me personally, my life pushing myself too hard was also like miscarried, because I wanted to be a singer. I heard and I demanded it, but thank goodness for voice lessons and the interesting teachers and self-examination, comparing myself to where I was and seeing my older siblings, like they were my opponents, and I wanted to be, accepted by them. So, it was like, because of age difference, and my child, I was strong, and with some charming functions, there was also dysfunctional bridges that we had to cross. Everything was not always perfect. We all had good role models. and without damage who were or who was the teacher that allowed us to grow. And of course, it was always, our families, our closest. And as it is naturally in life, it's not always like that. Some children, they raise themselves. So children teach each other and they become their teachers, and they conceive, others that are like-minded them, and their conditioning of what those are. And it could be, impulses of things that's not clear. But let's talk clarity on that. The various types of recognizing inspiration that implies the what other people can be to someone else, or even better, that competing thing. Healing yourself when you've competed and you have not accepted yourself, it's also something to where you don't accept another. And then you become your own suffering, or watching and learning from others' analogy, or thinking by the attributes or what somebody else is contributing. Let's talk clarity on that. Without structure, we couldn't be who we are, and being the structure was not available. There are those who learned hard knocks. Remember that song? It's a hard knock life for us. It's a hard knock life for us. Instead of kisses. That came from the little redhead girl that was she was abandoned, and she was living in a foster home. You know the name. Y'all know the name. Put it in the comments, because I can't think of her name right now. But it was they were being destroyed and governed by their teachers, by their governor, and by despair. That person was unhumble, and these children didn't have anybody. They had an unhumble attitude. It was just straight nonsense. Let's talk clarity. We heal, we gain, we lose by lowering our levels of truth, which is an experience or relating to the other emotional impacts from negative attitudes or working in exhaustion. And that's how that's what I grew to understand. I would watch this stuff and say, maybe the lady is just tired and she got a bad attitude. The mind frame that has nothing to do with labor, though, there's no excuse. The mind, the mental fatigue can take place even by sitting still and not laboring and just reading. You could be reading and exhausting yourself. You could sit up and get tired watching a movie. That transmission of light could tire you out. You could go outside and absorb the sun, and that can make you tired, by watching or becoming, the motions of a harmful field of that could be something going on within yourself, and it also reflects to these insecure, lost attitudes. They're damn near deadly to oneself. Let's talk clarity. If you collect some positive feedback and be careful in how we see oneself and each other without destroying each other, because it's too late to be concerned with what you failed 30 years ago or last year to yesterday. Today is the day to stay aware of the sensitivity of life and deem ourselves hope with love, and correct our reason to keep proof of why it's truly needed. It doesn't come from church. It doesn't come from a book. It comes from how we collectively relate with one another, each other. And sometimes people will think 30 years back on something that was of a suffering, something that was of a dis-ease, something that will load the mind, will unload within your mental heart, and you will be in poor attitude and destructive. The simple sweetness of comforting each other and comforting our own heart, the magic is that there is not any more primitive ways. We don't know about that. all we do understand is the platitude of our good attitude towards ourselves and each other. That's what it should be. When I'm speaking on family, I'm speaking on that. When I'm speaking on close companionships, I'm speaking on that. Even when we're out and we're passing strangers by and we say, excuse me, that is a part of that, a good attitude. So, speaking clarity on that, who can't recognize your own poor attitude? I feel that people really can recognize when they have a poor attitude. If you can recognize when you're exhausted, when you're bored, if I can recognize when I'm borderline burnt out, I can recognize my poor attitude. I can recognize my good attitude. So having, that getting much pleasure, the poor attitude is because you're not getting the pleasures of life. It's imperative that we be patient and repossess some better self-transcendental training to get more comfortable within our own authentic self. With that, we think about, things that can be antagonizing habits, that will, press a button inside of you to keep going, even when you're tired. It is a mind that is antagonizing you. So let's talk clarity. If they can't get along with you, right? And if you can't get along with yourself, you have trouble with getting along with who? Everyone. Let's talk clarity. There are people who just won't or can't do it, be it business or social. The spark may happen due to a mistake. Let's talk clairvoyant clarity. You see, what is by being detached from trying or just do, we may never get it all taken care of. But when we refer to what is life itself and draw on everything stimulating, whether you're with someone or whether you're alone, it will attain the freedom of natural right knowing. Let's talk clarity. Right knowing, because you know it within yourself, you want to expound it and make sure your energy is being expounded towards others. Let's talk clarity. It feels good that I am at a level of revitalizing myself. Now, I know next week I might be back in that space to where I start thinking about I need some time out. Well, I'm going to take a day. I may not take 3 days. I may not have to go away, but the thing of it is that I can be in my awareness, and hopefully whether I'm alone or with my companion, it can be done at home. I'm your host. This is my Clarity Channel, and I love to go and regulate the proper attitude by my actions and mindful clarity. What this is all about is remembering the love that you could do wherever you are. It doesn't always take that you have to go somewhere, but I'm telling y'all, I'm being real because I'm not a liar. I actually had to go away from my home in order to balance out my mental equilibrium. But I also switch up upon myself, and I'm inside my home and I'm thinking to myself, now I want to search and seek, not overseek, but seek the magnetic pull of the peace, the balance, the harmony that can be done naturally at home, chilling in bed, not having to travel, but being my own best friend and praising myself and giving grace and asking the divine spirit for me to not miss a trick, okay, but to treat myself and who's ever with me in a way that I'm observing myself as a whole, patient, loving, healthy, non-emotional bird. Let's talk clarity. Be great, okay? And sit with yourself, sit with your children, sit with your closest, and just reflect, learn, target the healthiness amongst each other, okay? All right? Turn the old sight into new sight. This is your host, Deirdre Square. Let's talk clarity.